Well, welcome everybody to the Mason Adams Show. You can take out your teeth, you ain't got nowhere to go. If you had somewhere to be, you better cancel all those plans, nowhere to go. It's the Mason Adams Show. Welcome everybody to the Mason Adams Show, episode 6, live from Six Springs Tavern in Richardson, Texas. We are now live in studio with our live in studio audience, and we are streaming on YouTube. If you are just now hearing this or somebody has sent you this link, if you'll take a second and share it out and let everybody know that the Mason Adams Show is on and that they need to tune in everywhere on YouTube. Or if you're driving right now, don't wreck, but U-turn, swerve, dip, dodge, duck, do whatever you need to do. Get over here. We're at the corner of Plano Road and Beltline Road in Richardson. It is Whiskey Wednesday. There are happy hour specials. We got the Mason Adams Show, followed by the Rambler Radio Show. So get down here. Still plenty of time to come hang out, check out some good tunes. This is episode 6. I am Mason Adams, our host, and I am joined today by my extra very special guest, Mr. Brian Cox and Mr. Chris Norwood.
I get a woo.
Woo!
Thank
Woo!
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you coming all the way up here to Richardson and hanging out with me today. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Doing quite well.
Good. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of the show in a little bit, but there are some things that we need to address first. The first one is welcome. Welcome everybody to the Mason Adams Show, where everything is homemade, even the music, even the lamps. And it is Whiskey Wednesday. Make sure you come down to Six Springs Tavern. We always want to thank our sponsors, which we have none. So we need your sponsorships. And we like things like guitars, guitar strings, hats, shirts, fishing poles, fishing rods, those type of things. Okay? So if you want me to wear your gear, your hat, your shirt on the Mason Adams Show, holler at me. If you would like for me to shout out your business or your service that you're offering, get at me. We're looking for sponsors for the Mason Adams Show. Also, we've added a segment, and it's called Whether You Want It or Not. So today's weather is hot and steamy, whether you wanted it to be or not. Okay, so make sure you're drinking plenty of water and staying cool, staying hydrated. We don't want to get any heat strokes or any heat exhaustions. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. That was whether you want it or not. All right, so next is announcements. Announcements. So we got a few announcements this week that have been coming into the DMs. Make sure that you're only sending your announcements, not your prayer requests. So on week 1, I told everybody that announcements on the Mason Adams Show worked kind of like prayer requests. Like if you had something that you wanted to submit, you just sent it in, and I would announce it on the show. And that we were doing a weekly thing, so they were coming in and, I started actually getting everybody's prayer request, and I was like, whoa. I'm not that guy. This is the Mason Adams Show. I'm only one guy. Can't handle all of the prayer requests. So, but please send your announcements, and we will make the announcements. So, this is obviously we're excited. It's the final Wednesday of the month. We have the Mason Adams Show, and it's episode number 6. But this is a little bit of a somber week in Dallas, especially just for Dallas musicians and the larger community as a whole with the passing of Brad Hauser from New Bohemians. And whether you knew him personally, close relationship, seeing the, memorials and everything that's been posted by, his closest friends and bandmates and everything, it's just been touching to say the least. And I know Brad Springs here and Carrie had a personal relationship with Brad also, and he worked here, ran sound, for bands on his free time, and he was just a great guy. And so I didn't want this episode just to go by without making mention of him and his contributions to Dallas music, and rest in peace, Brad. Another announcement. This is the final Wednesday of the month, and we will be moving this show completely every time to the final Wednesday of the month. So we had a great run of the weekly Wednesday nights to jumpstart the show. We had some incredible guests that we featured, and now we're going to be a little bit more honed in and focused each month. And so we're gonna do it on the final Wednesday, which works out great here at Six Springs Tavern because you get the Mason Adams Show right into the Rambler Radio singer-songwriter open mic, and then there's also the songwriter, song swap circle in the round at the end there with the featured artist, and that's at the last Wednesday every month too. So it's a great Wednesday here at Six Springs, and so that's going to be happening here at the last Wednesday. So, all right, well, let's get into the show, and I've got my special guests Brian and Chris today, and we're going to get to know a little bit more about them and their musical endeavors. And then we're going to play some tunes for you. And then, there's always a script, and we try to stay on it, but most times we're not on it because it just happens to be like that, right? Cool. All right, so let's get into it. So let's start with some questions, and this is like the basic first question, usually you would get on the job interview or whatever. And so, we like to get to know you. So, Chris, and then Brian, you get to go too, and this is kind of like a two-parter. So you have to tell us first, where are you from? And then when did you start playing music?
Well, I live in East Dallas.
This is Chris Norwood, everybody.
Yeah, I'm Chris Norwood. I live in East Dallas, the EDT, as no one really calls it, but I do.
Nobody actually calls it that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard that? Yeah.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy.
From EDT.
Nobody really calls him that.
Nobody calls it. Yeah. There was a guy named Ward Richmond, an East Dallas musician in a lot of great bands. He put out an album called The Warden, and he had a song called Living in the EDT. So
Cool.
that's why I caught that. Little
Cool.
side fact. So I'm from East Dallas. Grew up in Metroplex area. I first started playing music when I was probably 10 years old. The first song I ever learned was The House of the Rising Sun.
On instrument.
Guitar.
On guitar.
On
So
guitar.
first started playing guitar at 10. Okay.
Ish.
10-ish. Okay.
Ish.
House of the Rising Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We got that. My mom bought me that. It was by the Animals, and I wore that. It was on cassette, which dates me a little bit, but yeah, I wore that out.
That is awesome, dude. So besides guitar, what other instruments do you play now?
I play a little bit of whatever will make me money. Is what I like to say. Whatever instrument that I can convince people to pay me to play.
There you go. There you go. That's like me whenever I was writing all these songs, and then I got with the band, and I never really anticipated or expected being a singer, you know, and so, you know, then we actually get in the band, you know, like, you know, you have to sing these songs, and I'm like, I'm not a singer, you know, and they're like, you have been paid for musical performance. You are a singer.
You are a professional.
You're a professional, and you, so yeah.
So yeah, I started out playing guitar, and then I picked up trumpet in band in high school and college, and then my day job is I write music for commercials. I've done that for a long, long time. So,
But I know you play a little bit of keys,
I play a little bit of keys,
a little bit of lap steel,
play a little lap steel, very
Little-
little pedal steel,
little mando,
little mandolin,
cool,
bass.
multi instrumentalist.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not beat around the bush here. Yeah. So Chris is awesome musician. Been playing since he was 10 years old. All right, Brian, tell us where you're from. Tell us, when did you start playing music?
Grew up in Houston. Went to college.
Buggy.
Yeah, I got up here as soon as I could, but I went to school at A&M, and then after I graduated, I moved up here. So I've lived in Dallas longer than I ever lived in Houston now.
So you're about 22, 23 when you moved to Dallas or something?
24. But yeah, Cowboys hat now.
Go
So, you know,
Cowboys.
whenever I was in Houston, you know, I was taught when I was a kid to hate the Cowboys. And my family wouldn't even drive through Dallas. They thought it was like a superstitious kind of thing. Like, I'm serious. My grandparents would go around Dallas.
But they were Oilers fans back then,
Well,
right?
yeah,
it wasn't
it
the
was more like
Texans
they
thing.
were kind of superstitious
They
about
were
the Kennedy
just not
thing.
Dallas
They thought it was
fans.
bad luck.
Wow.
And so I was 20 the first time I ever came here for the Cotton Bowl
Crazy.
in 1992.
Crazy.
So, but started playing. Well, when I was 8, my grandma got me my first guitar, but it didn't. It was electric from Montgomery Ward's, but it didn't really take because they didn't get me an amp. They couldn't afford an amp, and so I'm sitting there with my little electric guitar, you know, silver tone or whatever it was, and I never really got into it, and so it got put in the attic, and then when I was like 14, we were from Houston, so we were really into ZZ Top, and there was going to be a talent show, and we were going to dress up and like lip sync ZZ Top. And I was like, I'm going to get that guitar out of the attic, and we're going to put some carpet and stuff on it, and I'm going to spin it around. And, you know, that never happened.
Let's go.
But I got that guitar out of the attic, and it only had one string on it. Like it had been just, you know, sitting around the attic.
Sure.
It had one string. And so I got it, and I was fascinated with it, and I was trying to learn how to play one song on one string. It was AC/DC, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. And I was sitting around on that one string. I had no idea what I was doing. And my grandma saw me doing it, and it was apparently so sad that she went out and bought me a guitar like the next day with an amp. Because I was just doing my one little string.
You had a Charlie Brown guitar.
And my mom moved, you know, recently, a few years ago, but she would go through some old stuff, and she found that old guitar.
Oh, wow.
And I went down there, and there it is, and I got it, and it still had the one string on it.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's a cool story.
So that was 1986 when I was 14.
Wow. So that's, I say it every week. Every episode. It blows my mind because everybody that I've had on the show has been playing at least one instrument longer than I've
Been alive.
even thought of playing an instrument. It's pretty cool. I really I'm just completely humbled.
But this is kind of not my normal comfort zone. I'm not normally
I know
solo
that's what's also cool about the Mason Adams show is that anything goes and it doesn't matter. And if you come on the show and you flop one, it's like it didn't matter because it's the Mason Adams show. It's
people could just hit fast forward.
yeah, it's live and in the moment, and there's no recreating that. That's the best part about it. All right, cool. So let's get into some tunes, and Brian's gonna go first, and the rules are: you play the tune, you can't introduce it, you can't tell us what it's about, anything like that. You start playing the song, and then at the end we do the cuss and discuss. We get to learn more about the song, how it originated, where it came from, all those type of things. Sound good?
Sure.
Cool. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Cox.
Trains used to roll right through the town till the day they tore the station down. Back when my grandpa rode the rails, way before he ever told the tales. Hell, either way you take it, can hear that whistle whine. Hell, any way you shake it, the devil's walking down the line. The devil's walking down the line. The planes used to fly right through the clouds till the day they brought the towers down. In the face of fear, now freedom's lost. But how will we ever count the cost? It was hell either way you take it. Can hear that whistle whine. Hell, any way you shake it, the devil's walking down the line. The devil's walking down the line. Used to ride all over town, stay outside way past sundown. But now we all just keep them close, safe from things we fear the most. It was hell either way you take it. You can hear that whistle whine. Hell, any way you shake it, the devil's walking down the line. The devil's walking down the line. The devil's walking down the line. The devil's walking down the line.
That's a good song. Anybody want to cuss that song? This is the cuss and discuss section, so speak now, forever hold your peace. I won't cuss it, but I will discuss it. So the devil's walking down the line. That's like the main chorus line, right?
The song's called Hell Either Way.
What?
Hell Either Way.
Hell Either Way. I like that. It's a good title. When was that song written?
About 10 years ago, right before my grandpa died. Both of my grandparents I was real close to died within like 6 weeks of each other. And my grandma went first, and he basically just like died of sadness after that. And in that period, I saw him, and he told me a lot of things. And he worked for the railroad in Houston Belt and Terminal. Drove trains, And he said, it's HB&T, Houston Belt and Terminal. But he said that they joked and they called it HE&WT. And I was like, well, what is that? And he's like, well, if you go north, you end up in Dallas. If you go south, you end up in Houston. So it's hell either way you take it.
Hell Either Way.
And so I basically just came up with that just to remember that moment of him telling me that.
That's great.
Dude, yeah, that's a good song. That's cool that song is that connection to your grandparents like that. And for sure, love will keep us alive, right? Like it's not an uncommon story to hear about, somebody's significant other or their spouse or something passes, and then shortly after they pass too, that's pretty crazy. That's a good song.
Well, thank you.
All right, let's go, Chris. Let's hear one from Chris. So, Chris, you can't introduce the song. You can't tell us where it came from, what it's about. jump right in, and then we cuss and discuss at the end.
All right.
You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Norwood.
A pair of hearts, we're two of a kind. Let's raise the stakes, lay it all on the line. And honey, it's a long shot now. Yeah, honey, we're a long shot now. Let's roll the dice, spin the wheel, test our luck. Let's make a deal. Honey, we're a long shot now. Yeah, honey, we're a long shot now. What if we lose it all? Will you stay by my side? And if we win the whole damn thing, well, baby, let her ride. It's a flip of the coin, the luck of the draw, 100 to 1 for the underdogs. And honey, it's a long shot now. Honey, we're a long shot now. What if we lose it all? Will you stay by my side? And if we win the whole damn thing, well, baby, let her ride. Let her ride. Let it ride, oh baby, let her ride. 'Cause we only have tonight, so baby, let her ride. And honey, it's a long shot now. Honey, we're a long shot now. Thank you.
What's that song called?
That song is called Long Shot. It is the title track from my first album.
That's what I thought. I've heard this song before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out there.
It is out there, yeah.
Anywhere you
Anywhere
stream
good
music.
music can be purchased.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's a good song, dude.
Thank you.
Is that a new song for you, like just in general, or have you been sitting on that one for a while before actually recording that one?
So that I mean, before that album came out, I kind of self-produced and put out a couple EPs. And then I had
that under Chris.
Just Chris J. Norwood. That's
Chris
my
J.
solo
Norwood,
stuff.
right?
Yeah. So I had a couple EPs out, and then I had this song, and then a batch of 8 or 9 others, 10. Well, probably close to 10 or 12 others. That I had kind of together, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to make an album. So that's what we did. I got a producer and made the album. This ended up being the title track.
What is it? What's it called?
The song is called Long Shot, and the album.
And the album's called Long Shot. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. And that's your first debut.
That's my
your
debut
solo.
Yeah,
album.
that's my
Cool.
debut solo record. Yeah.
So what? This is kind of, maybe it's on track, but it's off. But like, why with doing the EPs, right? What made you think I want to take these songs and make a full album, or yeah?
Yeah, I was just ready, and both those EPs I had self-produced. I had recorded most of the instruments. I had mixed. I mean, I'd done everything.
Yep.
And I had a batch of songs that I was really proud of, and I wanted to I wanted to just try a different process.
Yeah.
So I wanted to work with a producer, which I hadn't really done a ton of up till that point. Certainly not on a full album. So I wanted to do that, and wanted to record with some, great musicians in a great studio. And so like I said, I had a batch of songs that I was really proud of, and I wanted to give them the right treatment.
I totally get that. And my debut album is sitting out here in front of us, and that was that same way, and that was the perfect answer. Is that I was ready. I wanted to do that, and that's the same feeling that I had with that batch of songs. Where did you record your album?
I recorded. The producer is a guy named Chris Masterson. Chris and his wife Eleanor Whitmore. They have a husband and wife band that's called the Mastersons. At the time, they were members of the Dukes, Steve Earle's backing band. They're no longer with Steve Earle, but they'd been with Steve for a long, long time. And I was just a fan of the Mastersons, so I reached out to Chris and said, "Hey, would you want to produce my album?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And they were living in Austin at the time, so I went down to Austin and recorded at a place called the Finishing School, which was at the time was owned by a musician named George Reeve, who was a bass player. Ended up playing bass on the record. George was one of the, probably the best musician I've ever recorded with. He was phenomenal. George ended up passing away from cancer not too long after we recorded my album. It was one of the last albums he actually recorded on. But George had played with Ray Riley Hubbard, Chris Robinson, huge acts. So we recorded at the Finishing School. So since George's passing, I don't know if you know a band called the Band of Heathens.
Yeah, of course.
So Gordy Quist, who one of the frontmen of the Band of Heathens, they've done a ton of work with George. They'd worked out of the Finishing School a bunch, so they kind of took that studio over once he passed.
Fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a great studio. They've gone under a whole renovation since I recorded there. When I recorded there, you walk in the front door, and the mixing console was right there in the front entryway. I mean, like a 48 channel Neve mixing console.
Cool.
Vintage mixing console was there, and then the bass and the drums and the guitar were in the living room. The Eleanor, who played kind of all the auxiliary stuff, was in the bedroom. I was in another bedroom. There's a big grand, baby grand piano in the dining room. So it was a really cool vibe.
Cool. Yeah, good song. Thanks for sharing that with
Thanks.
us. I'm going to play one. I'm the only one that's broken the rules so far on this show, by the way. But I'm not going to do it right now. So. Headed out for Santa Fe in a beat-up Chevy van. Gonna see how far I can go. Only brought one bag of clothes and my old guitar rose. She's the perfect companion out on the trail. Left it all in Dallas, staying fearless on my way. And I feel it's time for me to make a change. And I could probably use a pen pal, someone to talk to from the road. Lord knows it's hard to tell, and I could probably stand a letter from my mama, that'd be best, but I ain't got no forward address. No, I ain't got no forward address. Woke up this morning and that's all I needed to do. Threw on my blue jeans and I laced up my shoes, and I'm letting go of the bullshit that's been keeping me from life. This time I'm gonna do it right, and I could probably use a pen pal, someone to talk to from the road. Lord knows it's hard to tell, and I could probably stand a letter from my mama, that'd be best, but I ain't got no forward months now, it seems I've made my way. Picking down at Six Springs every night and day. And I ain't got it on, no, but you say I've been blessed. Dear mama, here's my forward in a dress. And I could probably use a pen pal, someone to talk to from the road. Lord knows it's hard to tell, and I should probably send a letter to my mama, that'd be best. Dear mama, here's my forward in a dress, and I should probably use a pen pal, someone to talk to from the road. Lord knows it's hard to tell, and I should probably send a letter to my mama, that'd be best. Dear mama, here's my forward in a dress. Dear mama, here's my forward in a dress. Dear mama, here's my forward in a dress. Thank you very much. That one's called Forwarding Address. That's the one that we put in the lead-off slot on the Mason Adams Project album. It's the first one. Yeah, I mean, songs about hitting the road and, being lonely, and sometimes it's hard out there by yourself, and, who's better to make you feel better than mom? So talked about, wanting to send a letter home, or, man, it'd be nice to have a letter, but sometimes if you're out there on the road and you just took off and left Dallas in a beat-up Chevy van, maybe you didn't have an address for a while. So, that good song. That one's Forwarding Address.
So whenever you're writing a song for your Mason Adams project, do you think differently if you're writing it for just you solo, or do you think how is this going to translate to the whole band? Or, I mean, are there some songs that you don't play solo?
So this has been I think a struggle, or kind of a challenge for me too, is that, and I've said this on all the episodes too, like, shout out to all these people that can go out and play all these songs on an acoustic guitar, and, shred every note and sing every word, and you're by yourself doing it, like that. To me, it's been crazy, like figuring out, this crutch thing, with having the full band and being able to, let the mandolin solo, let the lead guitar solo, and then like also, the arrangement, trying to figure out the arrangement of, like, if I'm going to go out and play this original acoustic or just solo by myself versus playing with the band, like there's a little bit more thought that had to go into it than you maybe thought, or than I thought, that's for sure. But to answer the question fully, like, it's weird because I think a lot of the songs that I have been writing, I would say in the last couple of years, have been mostly what I feel like are going to be Mason Adams Project songs. They're, full band, and like when I'm in the moment and I'm writing the song, like I can envision and I can hear the, the live performance moments on the stage coming out with hits here, those type of things. And so it's been a thing, to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I haven't consciously been doing that. It's just been, those are the songs that I've been writing recently, I think. That's a good question. Yeah.
Also noticed you name dropped the location that we're in.
Weird. What?
Did you say there's a line that says Six Springs?
Oh, yeah.
Taking it Six Springs?
Yeah, well,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I improv that one for that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
How you doing, Dallas?
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's do a couple more questions, and then we'll do a couple more songs. We're doing really good, and we're getting close to. Let's just go ahead and call it. So we are at Six Springs Tavern. We're at the corner of Beltline and Plano Road. If you're following along online, you have the YouTube stream. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're subscribing. Doing all those things. If you're in the car, somebody has sent you this, you're listening right now. Don't have a wreck. Don't get a ticket, but do what you can. Turn around, pull over. Get down here right now, Plano Road and Beltline Road. We'd love to have you come hanging out. Following the Mason Adams Show is the Rambler Radio Songwriters Open Mic. And so you can come down and sign up and play some of your songs, have some dinner, drinks, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. It's hot out there, but it's cold in here. And we'd love to have you join us in the live studio audience at Six Springs Tavern. All right, so we're moving into what is the second segment of the show. And so we'll do a couple more questions, and we'll play you some more tunes. All right, so I'm going to drag one because, this is the Mason Adams Show where everything is homemade, even the music, even the lamps. And, we sometimes have a script, but sometimes we don't always stay on the script. So, all right, let's start with, who do we start? Let's start with Chris on the questions, and we'll come back to Brian. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we do, a flip-flop there. So, and this is going to be great. So, because I guess we're kind of, we'll have different influences, I promise. So, all right, so Brian first. Tell us just some of your, how about this? Some of your earliest influences, musically, guitar, band-wise, whatever. And then, are those still your heroes and people that you look up to now, or do you have new influences and people that you're striving to emulate now, or those type of things? So biggest influences, earliest ones, and then influences now, I guess.
When I first started playing, earliest influence would have been like Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top, and Rush, Metallica. That's what I was listening to at the time. And when I started playing when I was 14 is when Master Puppets came out. And so I was
So this is what's cool.
I wanted to be
This is what's cool.
Metallica.
So I know I've met Brian before. We know each other. I've met Chris before. We know each other. Brian and Chris have never met. And every time I've had a show, the guests have not met prior to the show, which is crazy because both of you guys are Dallas musicians and you should know each other. So I really
Everybody's
like
at home practicing.
I really like this, and I'm like the mayor. Like I know everybody apparently, right? So I can go out and get all these musicians. It's awesome for me. Anyway, so dude, so Rush, of course, Billy Gibbons, of course, Metallica.
I grew up in Houston and had to be a ZZ Top.
And so with the whole I know you guys thing is that I know Brian and I have had conversations where he's like, when I was 14, I just skipped school and just stayed home and just shred guitar all day.
No, that was more when I was 15.
Not 14.
I heard Steve Vai said that you can't get better unless you play at least 10 hours a day. I was like, well, how the hell am I going to go to school?
Yeah, I can't do school and also play.
But I still got straight A's.
And also play guitar.
But
So what about now?
now, I got into Fish and jam bands and everything. That happened in my 20s, and that led me to discovering jazz, which I tried to get into when I was younger, but I just didn't. But I discovered improvisational music and all, and so now I'm going back the last 10, 15 years and hearing a lot of stuff that people took for granted that is new to me in the last 15 years, like old jazz guitar, Wes Montgomery and Grant Green and Pat Martino and those kind of guys. And I can't play like that, but it opened a whole world of just possibilities of hearing what you could do. But I get influences from the weirdest stuff too. Just anything I hear. My kids think that I 100% just sit around listening to Fish all day.
Yeah.
But,
Which some days we do.
It's like 98%.
It's only every other day.
I fly out in the morning to go see them. So
Going to Madison Square Garden tomorrow.
yeah,
Go see the Fish from Vermont.
you know,
How many times have you seen Fish?
I'm about to hit 100 with them too.
About to hit 100 Fish shows, and in Austin, gonna hit 100 Disco Biscuits shows.
Well, I've been seeing both of those bands since 1996 and 1997, and I'm hitting my 100th show for both of them in the same month.
That's crazy.
It's weird.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
We slowed down considerably when we had kids
That's
in
awesome.
04 and 05.
I think I'm at like 82 the Disco Biscuit shows.
Most of mine were
Yeah,
before you were
which
in
is-
high
yeah,
school.
Yeah, super crazy. Most of his shows were way before I even started seeing him. Yeah, that's crazy. Cool.
Can I interject something I just remembered though when you were talking about you
Absolutely,
knowing
it's
everybody?
the fucking Mason Adams show. You
So-
can interject.
So there was COVID, right? And then places were starting to open up again, and I don't know if it's okay to mention another venue, but
Of course.
Deep Ellum Art Company opened
I love
up, but they
Art
were only having shows outside, right? Remember that?
Yes.
And you'd get a table, whatever. So I was there seeing something. I don't remember what it was. It might have been Mike Dillon and
Yeah, Tin Hands or
it was something like
Punkadelic.
that. So I'm
or-
sitting there with my wife. I'm just sitting there, and this guy comes up and he's like, "You're that dude from the band." And I'm looking at him and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, you're that dude from the band, Mason Adams."
You're that dude from the band.
He thought I was you.
Oh, that's great. I got
I know who it was, but I
mistaken.
don't want to mention it.
I got mistaken in public. That's like even better than being actually noticed in public, right? It's just being mistaken for
So I'm
someone.
apologizing to you that I was looking like you, apparently.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, pandemic was rough on everybody. I'm sure
Well, I
you
guess nobody had
had
seen anybody in a year.
Right, yeah, you hadn't had a haircut. Your beard was probably a little bit
I had
longer.
the scraggly beard. Yeah.
Pandemic was rough on everybody. I get it. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so Chris, tell us about your earliest musical influences. Who'd you first start rocking out to and think you want to be them, and then kind of where has that taken you now?
So my first earliest kind of musical influences, because I was in band, because I played trumpet, was a lot of jazz.
Sure.
Right. So like Duke Ellington was one of the first artists I can remember
Cool.
really diving into for whatever reason. And then once beyond that, it was guys like Maynard Ferguson. So like the 60s, 70s big band kind of jazz stuff like that. And then when I started playing guitar, being a guitar player from Dallas, my guitar guy was Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yep.
Big into Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then which led me to B.B. King and Otis Rush and all those blues greats. And then I didn't start songwriting until I was in college. So songwriting wise, some of my biggest influences are guys like Tom Petty and obviously Dylan and those guys. And still to this day, Petty's the goal, man. He's the best. So yeah. And then, currently I got into, singers like Otis Redding is one of my favorite singers of all time.
Dude, so I am just like kind of different because a lot of people when they started playing the guitar or something, they just like started playing all this Stevie Ray, trying to play Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, whatever, or all, every Blink-182 song or whatever.
Every
right?
Rush song.
Yeah, every Rush song, and I started, playing the guitar so much later in life. I feel like that, like, I really didn't have that kind of time. And, like my, friend Gil is like a jukebox, and can play all these songs, and it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. Like I never had that time spent. Like as soon as I could pretty much put 3 chords together, I started writing my own songs, And so, yeah, I know some songs, some cover songs or whatever, but like I probably know more of my songs altogether than I do like other people's songs, but, the influences are, also Tom Petty, also Bob Dylan. My dad was big, Cream and Eric Clapton fan. Lots of Fleetwood Mac and Janis Joplin, and that's what I really grew up on, in the Creedence and all these and I feel like now, I mean, it's so diverse, right? Especially, like, I don't know, this, MAP is kind of like, everybody thought we were going to come out and be this, straight country act or something, right? At first, and then now we're kind of doing this genre blending thing that's been pretty cool, and I can kind of feel all of those early influences coming out in some form or fashion,
I don't really think of it as an early influence, but I grew up listening to country. I grew up with Merle Haggard and, Hank Williams.
Well, that's like, you were
Marty
talking about
Robbins.
Duke Ellington, and I'm like, yours was Duke Ellington? I was like, mine was Garth Brooks. That's what.
Oh no, like I listened to a ton of Garth Brooks.
Whenever I
too.
was 5, I mean, I
Yeah.
told my mom I wanted to be Garth when I grew up. Like that was the deal. And I mean, just as an entertainer, the guy is incredible. As a performer, as a whatever, guy's incredible. And I definitely, if you could try to, bottle that kind of energy and be able to take it to the stage with you every night, like, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, well, let's play some more music. So Brian went first on round 1, and so we'll let Chris go first on round 2. Then Brian will play you one, then I'll play you one. Remember, this is the Mason Adams Show, so we don't get to learn about the songs before, but the musician will play the song, and then we'll cuss and discuss. We'll talk about the song and where it came from. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Chris Norwood.
Staring at that sheet of white paper, like the ink had disappeared without a trace. So often I get lost in translation, rather be misunderstood than erased. Some songs are better left unwritten, especially if you're lonely and it's late. Sober up to do my edits and revisions, when my mind is clear and I can see through the haze. But I am not cool, I don't play rock and roll. I am just a man trying to sing what I know. There's only 2 kinds of music, what's true and what ain't. It only takes 3 chords to set the record straight. I revel in the sound of silence, because it gives me something else to break. Punch into the pain and the tension, roll it back, then cut and splice the tape. But I am not cool, I don't play rock and roll. I am just a man trying to sing what I know. There's only 2 kinds of music, what's true and what ain't. It only takes 3 chords to set the record straight. I am not cool, I don't play rock and roll. I am just a man trying to sing what I know. There's only 2 kinds of music, what's true and what ain't. It only takes 3 chords to set the record straight. Thank you.
Good song.
Thank you.
That's a damn good song. I'll cuss your song. How about that? That's a damn good song. Tell us about that one. What's it called?
So that song's called I Am Not Cool. It's the title track from my second record.
I love that it only takes 3 chords to set the record straight line. And I've heard you play that song before too. Somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that song. What's it called?
It's called I Am Not Cool.
I Am Not Cool.
I disagree.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Wrong.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's a good song. I like it only takes 3 chords to set a record straight.
I love the melody there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty melody there.
Yeah, I wrote that song because, most of my solo stuff is kind of squarely in the Americana genre. And, a lot of people just take themselves way too seriously in the Americana genre.
Sure.
You got to wear, big hats and look like you're from the frontier and portray a certain sense of coolness. And that just isn't me. That's just not who I am. And although I do enjoy wearing hats. But
Same.
it's just
Hat guy. Big hat guy.
yeah, I do like big hats too, but that's just not me. So that's just kind of what that song's about. It's just about, I want to write good songs, but I don't want to have to, be cool to sell them.
Yeah, I am not cool. Yeah, I like that. I also like your cool Alvarez guitar. That's a cool
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I love this guitar. I have a Martin at home that I played forever, but it got too nice, and I just got scared bringing it to shows.
Sure. I've got it. I mean, I love my Alvarez. I bought it from a gentleman. Weird. I was living in Dallas at the time. He was living in Garland, near where I live now, and I went over there and bought it from him. And I was just, I don't know, kind of thinking I just wanted another, sit around, at reach guitar, and it was during the pandemic, and we were home, and I wanted another guitar that I could just, and I love that guitar, and I've written a lot of songs already on it. It's got a great sound. That Alvarez
This one does
sounds
too. I
great.
wanted a
Yeah,
guitar that
it does.
was, that sounded good, but that if it got stolen or the headstock got broken off.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I was at. Like if it gets banged around a little, like not gonna work, but it sounds good. And that one has the electronics already, the pickup.
Yeah, this is
already in
it's a
it too?
K&K that it didn't come with a K&K, but
Oh,
I
you
had,
put a K.
yeah, I had one put in.
Cool. Mine has the tuner already in the top. So nice.
Fancy.
So I know. Yeah, so nice. But it's like this dark wood. All right, Brian, you ready to play us a song?
Sure.
All right, can't tell us about it. We don't want to know till after, and you have to tell us. Ladies and gentlemen, what?
This one may be a little ambitious.
That's a little one ambitious. Ladies and gentlemen, ambitious Brian Cox.
Let's see. Path of least resistance, river flows a distance, predetermined path, certain destiny, swimming in the current, past the river stones. The rivers run their course, returning to the source, carving canyon walls, crystal waterfalls, swimming in the current, past the river stones. Here within the moment, Past the river stones, the current flows. The river delights to set us free if we only dare let go. Time and future, past and moments flow. Past the river of stones, the current flow. The river's finally free at the open sea. All the currents merge into unity. Past in the current, past the river's stone. Here within the moment. The river lifts you free. You'll always find the sea. When the river lifts you free, you'll always find the sea. When the river lifts you free, you'll always find the sea. When the river lifts you free, you'll always find the sea.
What did he say at the beginning? This is gonna be ambitious, dude. That was really good. That was really good, dude. Tell us about that song. What's it called? Does it have a title?
River Stones.
River Stones?
River Stones.
And it's the river sets you free.
Surrender to the flow.
Is that no, what?
So, there was a book I read in high school. It was like my favorite book I ever read. It was called Illusions by Richard Bach. Same guy that wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. If you ever heard of that, it's like one of these
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah.
One of these books you had to
Yep.
read in English, you know.
Yep.
But I actually liked it, and I didn't skip that school that day, so I read it. And it's a really good book, but it started with like a handwritten short story. It's like 10 pages long, something like that. And it's about, I don't know if it had its own name, but it's about these creatures that live under the rocks on the river bottom, and they just live their whole life clinging to the rocks, and they're afraid of the current.
Yep.
And no one ever lets go.
Yep.
If anyone ever lets go, they see them smashed on the rocks, and everyone's afraid to let go. So one day, one of the creatures says, "I don't care, I'm going to just see what happens," and he lets go. And yeah, he tumbles and gets hurt, but then he's lifted to his destiny. And so, I loved that story, and it was just kind of, when you let go and let the current take you, it takes you where you need to go.
Yeah, it's got kind of a sea shanty feel to it a little bit or something, and then those two lines, it's real pretty. It's a real pretty song. Is that you write? Is that when
That's
you write
been
that?
an ongoing process for a while.
I love
There was
that.
part of that I just threw in there a couple days ago.
I love that. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. All right, I'll play one for you. Ain't no telling where I'd be if you hadn't come along. You were 6.2 pounds of joy, just 19 inches long. You've had me wrapped around your finger since the moment of your first breath. Been daddy's girl since day one. I hope you never forget. And I was never perfect. I tell you that sadly. But dear God, don't let her miss her daddy. Not a day goes by that I don't think about you. Not an hour flies by that I don't hope you're well. And every minute of the day, will you just make me proud of you? I love you every second of every day. The big man sure had a plan when he blessed us with you. And if I've ever received a miracle, it surely was you. And you're getting bigger now, you're no baby anymore. It's hard to try to change the things I hope you'll forgive me for. And when I'm away, you know I'm missing you badly. But dear God, don't let her miss her daddy. And one day you'll know just how special you are. 'Cause in my eyes, you shine bright as a star. And one day I hope you fulfill all your dreams, for those are mine tonight. It's hard to believe, not a day goes by that I don't think about you. Not an hour flies by that I don't hope you're well. And every minute of the day, will you just make me proud of you? I love you every second. So I love you every second. I love you every second of every day. Thank you very much. That one's called Chloe's Song. That's a song I wrote for
What
my
song?
Chloe's song. I wrote that song for my daughter. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that we've had 3 dads on the Mason Adams show at the same time. So felt that was kind of appropriate to bust out since we got the dads on the show. But so then, you know, my guest, of course, y'all have unfair advantage because you know you're coming on the show, and then you know that you're going to need like 3, 4, 5 songs, and you can kind of think about that, right? And so my thing has been, I've been trying not to repeat any tunes on Mason Adams show. So far, so good, baby. 6 episodes down, 0 repeats. So trying to keep that streak going. And at some point here, we're going to have to start really digging and kind of go back through the old Rolodex and find some of those earlier tunes to play. But, you know, rarely played that one out too much, but that's Chloe's song.
you have a line in that song about the big man, and it took me a couple seconds to realize you weren't talking about Clarence Clemens.
Not Clarence Clemens.
So that's where I went.
Could be Clarence. All right, so we're moving into what is the third and final segment. We'd like to have you be a sponsor of the Mason Adams Show. So if that's something that you want to do and sponsor the fourth quarter closeout here, we'd love to have you. If you would like for us to mention your business or your service or your offering, please don't hesitate to reach out. Also, we're always looking for cool endorsement things like guitars, like guitar strings, like guitar straps, like amplifiers, like synthesizers, like Cadillac
Disc golf
trucks.
discs.
But we're not picky. So if you want us to holler at your...
I'll take a koozie.
Yeah, a koozie's good. Anyway, so this is the Mason Adams Show. This is episode 6. Make sure you stick around. We got the Rambler Radio Show coming up next. This is going to be the lineup every final Wednesday of the month for the foreseeable future. So our next show, filming for the Mason Adams Show, is going to be on Wednesday, August 30th. And then also you'll have Rambler Radio Show that night as well. Episode 6 is all but coming to a close soon, but we do have Chris Norwood and Brian Cox, our special guests this week. We want to thank you guys so much for coming out, hanging out with us. It is Whiskey Wednesday at Six Springs Tavern. You still got time to get down here, get a cocktail, a whiskey shot going. Carrie's back behind the bar, slinging them for you. We also got great food down here, so make sure you come check them out for dinner. So, all right, so we're going to do a few more questions. We'll do a few more tunes, and then we'll close this out in typical Mason Adams Show fashion, where I become an audience member. We let our special guests in the show. So we'll ask a few more questions, and then, where do we want to go from this? Segue. Oh, yeah, groups. Bands, projects, performances, events. Like, what do you guys tell us? What do you do? What's coming up? Where do people find out more? Those type of things. Chris first.
Sure, yeah. So where to find out more? ChrisJNorwood.com, all the socials. It's Chris J. Norwood. I'm in a band called Texicana that we play.
Texicana,
yeah. We've been around a while and play semi-frequently.
Played a show with Mason Adams Project.
We did, yes.
In Euless at Big Rob's.
Big Rob's.
That was fun.
It was fun. But I have a new band that I just started called Chris J. Norwood and the Knockdown Dragout.
Knockdown Dragout. And y'all had a show already at Sundown?
We had a show at Sundown, in April. And then we have another show, 2 more shows coming up. One Saturday, August 5th at the Rustic.
That's next Saturday.
Next Saturday
At the Rustic. Cool stage.
That's right. 9:30 to 11. Chris J. Norwood and the Knockdown Dragout. And then we're playing at Revelers Hall on August 26th.
I love Revelers Hall.
So
great place. I've never played there, but I'm super excited.
I've never been to Revelers Hall before.
That's where I'm usually out on Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's your jazz thing, right?
Shelly Girl.
So do you know?
Oh, right on.
Do you know Nate Hess? Then
Yes, I played with him.
I found Nate Hess. No, he played. He played.
When we get to me, I'll
drums
tell you
for
more
Map.
about that.
Yeah, he played drums for Map a little bit. Yeah, cool. Cool. So Chris J. Norwood, J. Norwood, and the Knockdown Dragout.
Yep.
Texicana. What else? Anything else?
That's it. Yeah.
do you and your wife, y'all play music together?
Yeah, my
sometimes?
wife Carrie and I play. She's a beautiful singer. She sings with. She's one of my singers in one of the singers in Knockdown Drag Out.
Uh-huh.
She's also a great, like I said, a great singer. And she and I wrote a song recently called "Flying to Tennessee." She wrote it, and then I kind of helped produce it and stuff.
That just came out, right?
And that
Couple
came
weeks
out
ago?
a couple months ago. Yeah,
Months.
it's
been
beautiful.
months?
Yeah,
It's
a couple
been months. God,
Yeah.
time flies.
It's a
Time
beautiful
flies.
song. I'm really proud of it and proud
It
of
is a
her.
good song.
And
I listened to it.
so yeah, I want everybody to go listen to it.
Yeah, go find that. Go find that. Yeah, Chris and Carrie.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Brian. So, Brian, I know it's all the. Tell us about it.
About what?
Well, so Primus right now.
I'm down to two things. Yeah, I'm a Primus tribute band. We're playing. Next gig is not this Friday, next Friday.
What's the Primus tribute band called?
Primish.
Primus. Yeah, Primus. Yeah,
But
we're Primus.
We're playing at Andy's in Denton.
Primus sucks.
Primus shucks.
Primus sucks, man. Cool. Where are you playing?
Andy's in Denton.
Andy's.
A week from Friday, August 4th. But Brett, our bass player, is phenomenal. He's exactly Les Claypool. I mean, I can.
Bold
I'm-
statement. That's
yeah,
awesome, dude.
He's amazing.
That's awesome.
He's amazing. The drummer's amazing. I just show up.
Cool.
I can just. They carry the whole thing.
Dude, that's amazing. Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I get to be weird because there's a lot of weird
Sure.
sounds in that, and I
Sure.
get that out of my system there.
Yeah, that's fun.
But then the other thing I'm still playing is the Gypsy Jazz Trio. It's Trio Django. We're like Django Reinhardt inspired. We all play Django guitars. Well, me and the other guitar player. And upright bass. And what I was mentioning about Nathan Hess, the two other guys that are in that band, the Django band, they have another trio with them and
Suitcase
Nathan
Trio.
Hess.
Yeah.
Suitcase Trio.
Yeah.
So those two guys are the same ones that are in my other band.
That's cool. Yeah, so Nate Hess had moved to Texas and was putting himself out there. He played drums, and we actually shared a rehearsal space with him for a little bit, and he subbed drums in MAP a couple shows. So
He subbed in on drums for my Sunset Drive.
Oh, yeah.
And it ended up being our last gig ever.
killed it.
Not because of that.
Thanks, Nate Hess. Killed it. No, he's a good
Our
dude.
keyboard player, which was the driving force of that band, stopped playing music entirely. Oh, wow. Which is sad.
I liked him. Yeah.
He was amazing. But
Yeah. What was his name?
Terrence.
Terrence. Yeah,
But
he was good. I like
he's,
Terrence.
he's going back to school and getting his master's and stuff. And doesn't have time for it.
Cool. So Primish is their Facebook page.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
on Facebook.
So
Primish.
go check out Primish
And the Trio Django's on there too.
and Trio Django.
We play once a month. The Trio Django plays once a month at the Mercy Wine Bar at the Music Factory.
Cool.
So I forgot when the next one is. We just played. So,
Cool.
And we're skipping August, so September sometime.
Cool. That's awesome. So this is the Mason Adams Show, episode 6. This is been pretty cool to be able to sit down with both you guys and get to know more about you. I feel just honored to have you guys be special guests on the Mason Adams Show. Thank y'all so much for being here. So let's do this. There's always a script, but we're usually not on it. So we'll switch things up a little bit. And if you want to see somebody antsy, watch Dave Christensen when I tell him that we're going to play 6 more songs each. It's kind of our insight thing.
That was my first one.
Because we have to be done by 7 because the next show starts.
7 all the time.
Yeah. So we just want to be respectful of that. I'm just kind of watching the clock. So we'll just do things a little bit different. So I'll play one more song. I'll start us off. I'll play one more song, and then we'll move to the closing of the show where I go out and I am part of the studio audience, and we'll have one more song from you guys. How's that sound? And at the end, there's no cuss and discuss. You just play the song, and we boo you, throw stuff, and then you just walk off, head in shame, tail tucked between your legs, or
I bet your aim is not very good.
Anyway, all right. I'll play one more for you. I'm trying to think right now. Usually, whenever I'm stalling and I'm thinking about the song I'm going to play, I get to tell the story about how everybody else gets to plan their songs out, and then I have to, So let's think of one real quick here. Here's one. 45 and a glass of wine is all she'd want to wear. Overalls and a tank top with a bandana in her hair. She chain smoking like a freight train. She shoots whiskey with the boys. She's hell-bent on returning and making a lot of noise. Benz is a dish best served cold, and she's headed on her way. It's been 365 since he left her. Whiskey River running through her veins. Seeks shelter from the porch lights, trying not to give herself away. There's one cooking in the chamber, and he won't see the break of day. Her mind is made up and she's played it through nearly 1,000 times. She walks slowly towards the bedroom, just gripping the pistol tight. It's all alone, fights and cold nights replay inside her brain. This time she's gonna show him what it means to go insane. Dust settles in the driveway, headlights racing through the night. She got a motel by the waterway till she sees the morning light. And all the years of pain she tries to wash away. Her salty tears in the shower disappear with all the shame. Bears the scars to remind her that she's stronger on her own. And there's no turning back now because the plans are set in stone. And a glass of wine is all she'd want to wear. Overalls and a tank top with a bandana in her hair. Thank you guys very much. That was called Best Served Cold. Thank you for tuning in to the Mason Adams Show, episode 6. Thank you for being part of the live studio audience down at Six Springs Tavern. Thank you, Brad and Carrie. Thank you, Keegan, for running sound and production. Make sure you check us out on August 30th. That will be Mason Adams Show, episode 7. Gonna close this out in regular Mason Adams Show fashion. Want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Be kind to one another, and we love you. Let's give it up one more time for our special guests, Brian Cox and Chris Norwood. They got one more song for you, and then we're going to close out the show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in.
All of the things that have ever been done, all of the songs that have ever been sung, all of the skies that have ever been blue, all of the dreams that have ever come true, all of the calms before the storms came, all of the rainbows after the rain, leaves on the tree of life. All of the tales that have ever been told, all of the stories that will never get old, all of the days spent under the sun, all of the memories of everyone, all of the friends you ever have had, all of the good and all of the bad, leaves on the tree of life. Branching ever outward, the leaves all grow, all part of one tree, but they don't know. Leaves on the tree, leaves on the tree, branching ever outward, the leaves all grow, all part of one tree, but they don't know. Leaves on the tree of life. All of the ones you ever have loved, all of the ones in heaven above, all of the ones who've helped you along, all of the ones who've sung you a song, all of the things that have ever been done, all of the things under the sun, leaves on the tree of life. Leaves on the tree of life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was great. Brian, it's a pleasure meeting you and playing with you.
You too, Chris.
Mason, thank you so much for having us out. This song's called Old Guitars and Bad Tattoos. This is a debut. It's a brand new song, and I've just finished recording, and it should come out, I don't know, maybe in a month, maybe not. We'll see. Old guitars and bad tattoos. Each one I've got is a memory of you. I can't sell them off, I won't get them removed. These old guitars and bad tattoos. been drawn, the marks on my skin, the pain I still feel that I must have been in. My voice is still strained from the songs that I sing. My fingers are calloused from strumming the strings on these old guitars and bad tattoos. Each one I've got is a memory of you. I can't sell them off, I won't get them removed. These old guitars and bad tattoos. Hawked all I can at Dan's Pond down on Grand, and left with enough to still feel like a man. 'Cause what do I need with diamonds and gold, when all I've got left to have and to hold are these old guitars and bad tattoos. Each one I've got is a memory of you. I can't sell them off, I won't get them removed. These old guitars and bad tattoos. These old guitars and bad tattoos. Each one I've got is a memory of you. I can't sell them off, I won't get them removed. These old guitars and bad tattoos. Yeah, these old guitars and bad tattoos. Thank you very much.